I'm Dennis Golding. I'm a Kamilaroi man from the northwest of New South Wales. I was born and raised in Sydney. I'm Gadigal land and I spent my childhood growing up in Redfern on the block. For Adelaide, I'm presenting a new body of work exploring the Victorian lace panels to talk about Aboriginal experiences in urban spaces. And from my own experience living in Redfern in these terrace houses, it talks strongly about our community, of how we lived, of how we got to a community, and speaks strongly about Redfern and its history and how it formed as an urban Aboriginal community from back in the 1960s, where many Aboriginal families across New South Wales and afar moved from their traditional lands and went to Redfern in Sydney. This was for work and for educational purposes, but a very strong community for many families, which was the birthing place for many movements, for civil rights movements, for legal services for Aboriginal families, also medical health, which is very important, and child services as well. I'm really proud to be coming from this community. Really happy to be sharing stories and our history and culture and how we've lived through these urban spaces, but also how my work as a contemporary artist, I can critique these processes of colonialism through the cast iron fences to decolonise these Western objects, to talk about how we can give stronger and empowering representations of our identity as Aboriginal people. So my family are traditionally from Biripi country, the north coast of New South Wales, my mother's side. My father's side is Kamilaroi country, where I remember as a kid travelling up there all the time and connecting with the community members up there. But in talking about those stories and how both families moved to this space here in Redfern, my grandmother actually moved in the house just behind me, number 63, Caroline Street. And then we moved in different houses across the block here, down in Vine Street, where I lived at number 9 at my uncle's house. These terrace houses, they're all 1 or 2 bedroom houses as well. And so as our family grew, we shared our times living at our uncle's house or our grandmother's house, and that was how we navigated across the block here. We wanted to, my mother, my sister and I shared a room out of the 2-bedroom house down in Everleigh Street, and that was our life, living across our uncle's houses, our grandmother's house, and all these houses are just so beautiful that we can remember and reflect back on how our community shared and supported each other. So that's a really great memory that I always try to expand in my work as an artist, is talking about childhood memories and talk about these stories and how we lived within these houses, which are so historic and set from a time during the Victorian era, where for a lot of Aboriginal people it's a very hard time of being dispossessed.